are live. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 46 of Security Dog Handler Live. For those of you that think bloody hell it's bright in there, I've actually put some batteries in my old light that I just have in the van as like a backup or to search for stuff in the van, and I put some new batteries in it, and now it turns this van into daylight. So yeah, that was I've done something that another dog handler done. So I've got that should be down a little bit, shouldn't it? I've got what torch have I got? What torch have I got? I've got an LED Lenser P7R, and I said to someone else asked me for some advice on a decent torch, etc., and I told them to get an LED Lenser, and they got an LED Lenser, and the first thing that they done is they pointed it in their face and they turned it on and nearly blinded themselves. And I did exactly the same thing with this little handheld torch. I can't remember, I think I only paid about a tenner for it out of Asda, and I'll say I put some new batteries in it yesterday and then turned it on whilst I was looking at it and nearly blinded myself. So I've done the stupid thing that someone else has done. But yeah, so if it does look a lot brighter, it almost looks like daylight in here now, it's because I've decided to put some new batteries in that torch. So yeah, hope everyone is well. This is obviously just a hangout. You got the chat box there if you've got any questions or some topics to talk about. The chat box is there, but other than that, we're just going to sort of hang out for an hour or so, depending on how busy it is or how the conversation's going, etc. I'm on my last shift of the week, and it has got very, very cold. I think it was down to about minus 3 last night, -4 last night. So really thankful for the extension lead and heater, obviously keeping me warm. I actually gave my heater to the other dog handler because he had his heater the other day, plugged it in and it started smoking, so he had to order a new one. And then not today but the day before, I said to him, do you want to borrow my heater? And he said no, and I think he absolutely froze. So this morning when he turned up, I said to him, look, do you want my heater for the day? He said yes, and he did say it was a bit of a lifesaver because, like I say, I think even when I turned up earlier, it was 1 degree, I think maybe even 0 or -1. So yeah, it's definitely got very cold now. So just trying to stay alive, stay warm. I'll tell you how cold it was today. I left the work phone in the van today, and the work phone turned itself off because it was too cold to function. So that's how cold it is. But yeah, hope everyone is well. Last shift of the week, and then got a couple of nights off, and then that is another week done, and we're into December, onto the Christmas straight. Dad's birthday on Sunday, I think it is, so I'm gonna maybe do something Saturday. But yeah, like I say, chat box is there, any questions or any topics to talk about. I've got a video coming out on Saturday, which is possibly going to be one of my most controversial videos. I've actually filmed it, didn't like it. I'm going to refilm it again tonight so that I can put the video up on Saturday. But yeah, Saturday's video is going to be a really controversial one. I'm intending on getting a lot of flack. I'm intending to get, I don't think hate, but I'm intending to catch a bit of flack off of this video. So I want to make sure I get it right, which is what I said. I've already filmed it, edited it, and then I've rewatched it, and I just don't like the way I've done it. So I'm actually going to redo it tonight, so that it's ready for Saturday. But yeah, so that's going to be an interesting one. I think I might turn my phone off Saturday morning when it goes live, and then I'll turn it back on a bit later on. Josh Green, evening mate, how are you? Hope you're well. Are you out working tonight? So yeah, Saturday's video is going to be controversial. intending to get some flack, but I think it's an important thing worth talking about, because I see when I go into when I'm looking through groups or anything, and there's people asking about the security dog handling industry, I see this common thing every time, and I think it stops people from getting into the industry. I think it shades a bad light, so I think it is something that's worth talking about. And if no one else is gonna talk about it, then I will talk about it. All good, mate. Yeah, I'm at work. Josh, what's your setup in terms of keeping warm? I was saying that earlier, that I've got an extension lead and a heater to keep myself warm, because like I said, last night it was like -3. How am I? I am good. I am reasonably toasty. The good thing about this van that's different to my old van, so the caddy that I had, so you had sort of one space for the driver, one space for the passenger. The good thing about this van is that it's like a bench, and across down where my feet are, it's one whole unit. So I think we all understand how heat works. So heat rises and cold falls. So what I normally do is I have my extension lead in the front, and then I put my heater on the dashboard, blows it into the back, tries to keep it warm. Now what that actually does is it actually makes sort of what my sort of knee level downwards from where I'm sitting, it actually makes it quite cold, because the hot air obviously goes to the top. So probably from about this high, from probably about this high, it's warm, but then from here downwards, that's where the cold air goes. So because this van down where my feet are is one whole unit, I'll put it up there, I'll put it up on the dash to get it warm, but when I start getting cold feet, etc., I actually put it down around where the passenger feet would be, and I point it at my feet, and then what that does is that obviously blows the hot air down across the bottom towards my feet, but then rises up here. So obviously I want to try and keep the dog reasonably warm, and like I say, normally it blows back there and keeps the whole van at a decent temperature. But definitely when my feet start getting a bit cold, or the cold air is down around my feet area, I'm actually blowing the heat across the floor onto my feet for it to then rise obviously up. Extension lead running out of the tool cabin with a small fan here. Yeah, exactly the same as me. If no electric, hook up, then layer up, well, and grin and bear. Yeah, I've been on some of them sites, and I think a lot of people would have seen my video regarding having the Bluetti, etc., and having the electric blanket. That's been a lifesaver. And I always think, even when people say, "Oh, like wrap up," when I first got into this industry, and I was speaking to people about keeping warm in the winter, etc., because I started security dog handling at possibly the worst time. It was like January 8th, something like that. And I said to people, like, how do you stay warm? And people were saying, obviously, layer up, and some people said just get a cheap sleeping bag to put around your legs and around your feet, etc., and different things like that to try and keep warm. Let me assure you, if you've got no electrics and you try and keep warm with blankets and things like that, you do not keep warm. When this van, so argument's sake, last night it was like -3. Now if it's -3 outside, this van inside here is going to be roughly about -3, if not colder. And let me assure you, having blankets, a sleeping bag, whatever it is, there is no way of you keeping warm. You might be able to keep your hands warm with gloves and different things like that, but not for very long. You need to try and keep circulation going around, and I think that's why during the winter months I'm much more active, especially if I don't have any electrics. That's why I'm much more active, because the only way that you can keep warm and keep the blood circulating around your body is to keep active. So if that involves getting out, now I could be sitting in here, and let's say in this van I managed to have some form of heat, and I can keep it to 6-7 degrees, so not hot but not freezing cold. I'll be warmer outside patrolling the dog, playing ball with the dog, training with the dog. I will get warmer doing that than I would sitting in this van when it's like 4 or 5 degrees. So I think definitely in the winter, being more active and doing more training, etc., although it is cold and things like that, it is probably one of the best ways to keep warm. I'm thankful for the hookup tonight with it snowing. What county are you in, Josh? Because they've been threatening snow. I think judging by the forecast that I've seen, I think we was expecting snow either during the day today, tonight, or tomorrow. But then when I looked on the forecast earlier, it said that there's a possibility of snow at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, which will be absolutely fine with me because I'll be in bed by then. But yeah, what county are you in, just so that we've got an idea of where the snow is? Because thankfully at the moment it's not. Everything is frozen, but no snow at the moment. I first started at the end of October on a site with no electric, and it was a learning curve. Yeah, like I say, I've said loads of times about this industry, etc., that you feel like you're prepared when you get into it. Like I felt when I first got into the industry, and I had my car and I had blankets and I had all this sort of stuff. I was like, yeah, I'll be absolutely fine. I'll be able to have my blankets. I'll be able to keep warm. I'll be nice and toasty, etc. And then the first proper cold night that you get, you realise that you are nowhere near. You are nowhere near prepared enough, and that's why now I've obviously got the Bluetti. Now I have an extension leader, a heater, and different things like that, because nothing can prepare you for that first cold snap that you get. So yeah, I completely understand when you say it's a learning curve, and like I say, that's why in this job I feel like especially for the first sort of year, 18 months, your first winter, your first summer, your first autumn, whatever it is, you learn something all the way through there. And what am I? I'm coming up to doing this for 3 years now, and I'd say I've really only been properly prepared since maybe last winter, so maybe nearly 2 years into the job. That's when I decided that I was going to be more prepared for certain stuff. And the original site that a lot of people will know me for is obviously that building site, and I had units there with heating, etc. But even on them nights, I still, because it had no windows, I needed to keep a door open to be able to see obviously the site, etc. And sitting in there hugging a radiator when the cold air is coming in, because the cold air comes in and the hot air goes out very quickly. So even when I thought I was prepared by having a unit with heating and all the amenities, etc., it was actually worse than what I've got now. I'd much prefer, I mean, it would have been different if there had been windows that I would have been able to look out of. That obviously would have been different, etc. But even when I thought I was prepared, I really wasn't. And now I would say I'm 90% prepared for more or less any weather. With a hookup with an electric plug, I feel like I'm fully ready for any weather conditions that can be thrown at me. With no electric, I'd say I'm 90% there. Reason that I'm saying I'm not 100% there is obviously I've got the Bluetti with an electric blanket to keep me warm, but obviously that doesn't keep the whole van warm. That just keeps my legs or my hands warm, etc. So yeah, I'd say I'm probably 95%, maybe 90% ready for any weathers that come. Working in East Riding of Yorkshire sounds very posh. East Riding of Yorkshire. So the snow is up north, not got down to the southeast. Like I say, I think the southeast is expecting some maybe tomorrow, and if it comes at 9 o'clock in the morning, absolutely fine. I'll be tucked up in bed by then, watching some TV, etc. But hopefully it won't come. I did speak on one of these lives recently about snow being the one condition that freaks me out the most about getting to and from work, or especially this site, getting to and from this site, and things like that. Once I'm here, I'll be absolutely fine, but I think getting to and from snow is definitely one of the main conditions that absolutely freaks me out. There's one cabin on this site with a kitchen and a toilet, and it's got one window and it faces an office. so it's useless. So it's a useless window, so I choose to be in the vehicle. Yeah, I mean, even with them units, like, it was exactly the same cabin. So on the site I was on, there was a row of one, two, three. There was a row of 3 cabins and then a toilet unit, but there was a row of 3 cabins, and the only windows were on the sides, so they was only ever facing into the next cabin along. There's none facing out onto the site, and like I say, them windows are absolutely useless. And when I wasn't prepared, and it's stupid really, because when I look back at it now, so I've got a different extension lead now because I needed it to be a bit longer, but the extension lead I got for that site was a 10-meter extension lead out of Asda, and it probably cost me a tenner. And then the heater that I've got was off of Amazon, that was 15 quid. So for 25 quid I could have kept myself warm, had heating in the van, and been in the van. And it just seems ridiculous now that I was spending nights freezing cold, hugging a radiator, trying to stay warm, when for the sake of 25 quid I could have been sitting in my van nice and toasty, heated, exactly like I am now. Now the extension lead I've got now, I purposely bought an exterior one, obviously for weather conditions, raining, whatever it is. I wanted to make sure that it was an exterior extension lead, so that the cable, the sort of the armor around the cable, was a little bit better than maybe you'd get for a household one. I think that ended up costing me a little bit more, maybe somewhere between 25 and 40 quid. I can't remember exactly what it was, but even like 25-40 quid for a 45-meter extension lead, exterior extension lead, and I'm still using the £15 heater I have now. So even if I was doing it, setting up the way I am now, for the sake of 50 quid, I can heat this whole van, I can keep us warm. I've got an extra 3 plug sockets to be able to charge my phone, charge anything that I've got in here, my speaker. And it just seems stupid to me now. But at that time I was like, oh, I don't really know if I want to really fork out for this and that to try and keep warm. And you look back at it now, 25 quid is what I was suffering cold nights for, frozen windscreens, whatever it was, I was suffering on that. Now the Bluetti is obviously a bit different because that's hundreds of pounds. That was a much bigger buy, but I think coming from my old site, where obviously I had electrics and I had an extension lead and things like that, going to a site that had 0 power, absolutely nothing there, it was an impulse buy in terms of it was forecasted to snow like 2 or 3 days, or no, I think there was forecasting snow in the next sort of 4 days, etc. And I've been sitting on this site, and it was early December, and it was obviously getting cold, and I was trying to stay warm, doing the stupid things that I was doing back when I first started and that. And I just turned around to the missus and said, look, I want to get this Bluetti. This is how much it's going to be. I know it's expensive, but next week I'm going to be stuck in a car park and it's going to be snowing, and I need to try and stay warm. Now, arguably the Bluetti is not the greatest in terms of I can't power my fan off of it because of the wattage. So with the Bluettis, they're normally like 1,000 watts is what is sort of like the cutoff. Anything over like 1,000 watts, it won't power that unit. Now, in order to generate heat, the wattage is normally very high. So I think this fan, 1,000 watts is like the low level heat, and 1,500 watts is like the high level heat. And the problem with the more wattage that the unit has, the more power it creates. So my Bluetti will power this fan at 1,000 watts, but only for like an hour and a half, which is not any use to you if you're on a 12-hour shift. Now, what it will do with my electric blanket that throws out 100 to 120 watts is that it'll power that for a good 9 hours. So it's much more useful. So I'm not saying the Bluetti is the answer to everything, but it gives you a fighting chance in having that. And like I say, the Bluetti was more of an impulse buy, but it's become very useful, like these lights that I have around. So in terms of the Bluetti now, I use it to power these lights. It's there for another source of power if I need to charge something. If, say, my phone cable breaks, it's got a wireless pad on the top where I can charge my phone wirelessly. And it just gives me some more options. And like I say, I've been powering these lights all week, and I think I've used like 40% battery. So obviously the Bluetti does well, because obviously they're sort of low watt stuff. So I'm not saying that I've got it all sussed out and Bluetti is the answer to everything, but like I say, when it comes to buying that, it was going to be snowing within the next couple of days, and I was like, look, I have to do something. It's one way or another, I need to be able to keep myself warm. And I think that is part of being a more experienced handler, is realizing how much it's going to cost and just going, right, I know if I don't do this, I know what the effects of that is going to be. Where, like I say, now looking back at it on that other site, for the sake of 25 quid, I could have not been hugging a radiator, not been absolutely freezing, and it just seems stupid now. Misted windows, yeah, like I say, when it gets cold and that's the good thing about having the heater in here and different things like that. Because of the temperature of the van, obviously the window temperatures are pretty decent. So even if it does start snowing and that at the moment, because of the heat of the van and the heat of the windows, the snow won't really lay, probably still lay some, but it won't really lay on the front window of the van because of the heat. So in terms of snow and that, I still be able to see all of my all around me, because the snow, or obviously as soon as it touches the window that's reasonably warm, it will just kind of melt, etc. But yeah, no, that's why I say it every time someone asks me. I mention it so much in videos, is that in this job, as you go through stuff and you experience stuff, the way you said, there's a learning curve your first October. As you experience stuff, you become much more fluid with your money. Like, if someone turned around to me and said, look, well, if someone turned around to me and said, it's going to cost you 75 quid, but you're going to be able to heat your van without electricity, I'd pay it tomorrow. If it was £200, I'd do it tomorrow. Now, I understand that you can get like the gas heaters or the petrol heaters, etc. Not a massive fan of them, I don't think. I'm not a massive fan of having like a petrol tank, another petrol tank that's fitted into the van. That is obviously a way a lot of people do, and a lot of people swear by it. I'm just not a fan of it. I know that they get it and they can link it into your diesel tank of your van, etc., and run it that way. I'm just not a massive fan of making them kind of modifications to the van, because you have to have an exhaust, so you have to cut a hole in the bottom, or a lot of people cut a hole in the bottom of the van for the exhaust to go out. Not a big fan of that. So I think in terms of a diesel heater, it's not something I'm going to do. But if someone turned around to me tomorrow and said, look, we'll give you central heating in your van for 500 quid, I'd do it tomorrow. But it's not something that's really going to be possible. So in case of having an extension lead and a heater that cost me all of what, 50 quid, it's absolutely nothing when you consider what the alternative to that is sitting here absolutely freezing cold. I'm not sure what these statics are doing outside, because I've got some statics that are outside doing some other, looking after some other stuff and that, and they've got a welfare unit there, but they all seem to be sitting in their cars, which tells me that the welfare unit must not have heating, which I'd find quite strange. But they all seem to be sitting in their cars, but all of their cars, all of the windows are all frosted up, so there's definitely no heat inside the vehicles, and they sit there with their lights on, and I'm not 100% sure what they're doing all night. But like I say, they're not sitting in the welfare, they're sitting in cars all night with it all frosted up with their lights on. So that's an interesting one. But I suppose that's why they say, in terms of what's the wording? I always forget. Always forget the wording of it. What do they say? Security dog handlers need to be self-contained. That's the difference between being a static and being a security dog handler. If you want to know the biggest difference between, obviously other than having a dog, the biggest difference between a static and a security dog handler is that a security dog handler should be self-contained in terms of they should turn up with their van and whatever they need they should have on board. In terms of static, they need to be provided with welfare, which like a kitchen, a room, a toilet, different things like that. Security dog handlers, self-contained, turn up with your own toilet, your own heating, your own fridge. I'll tell you what, my fridge that I've got down here, now I got a fridge off of Amazon, and that again come through experience and working through summers, etc., and trying to eat like a chocolate bar when it's 30 degrees and it obviously being melted, etc. I bought this fridge and I've got a feeling it was about 25 quid off of Amazon, and depending on the temperature around the fridge is dependent on the temperature inside the fridge. And also I can plug that into my Bluetti using a USB, and it doesn't give out as much power as if you plug it into a plug socket. So it's got two leads, a USB and a normal plug. Now I've been obviously plugging it into my extension lead now because it's better with keeping stuff colder. But over the last sort of 2-3 nights, I've been getting a Pepsi Max out of there at like 3 o'clock in the morning, etc. And this little fridge is turning the Coke into ice. Now it's not fully ice, but when I drink it, there are definitely ice particles coming through. So I'm really impressed with this little fridge that for 25 quid off of Amazon, that I can get a fridge that keeps my drinks really cold, obviously because it's nearly turning them into ice. Obviously in the summer it doesn't. In the summer it'll just keep them reasonably cold, but in the winter, like, it's turning stuff into snow. So when I'm putting, some chocolate bars or whatever I want to put in there, this little fridge is doing a really good job of that. I've looked into everything and found really you can't beat what the hell is that? Something diesel heater. Urbis Patcher diesel heater. Yeah, like I say, there are people that are massive fans of diesel heaters. There are people that are not fans of diesel heaters. I've got nothing against them. There's no reason why I don't like them, but the only reason I don't is obviously the modifications of the van, cutting holes in vans, cutting holes in fuel tanks, or obviously having to carry a jerry can of diesel on board. It's just not something I'm into. But like I say, if that's what you like and that's the way you're set up, I know that you've got I'd rather be warm. Yeah, if that's how you want to keep warm, then do it that way. As long as you're happy with that. Like I say, I've got no reason to hate diesel heaters, but there are my reasons why I wouldn't have one. With a diesel heater, once you cut the hole and let's say you decide to sell the van, the depreciation because it's got a hole in the floor. Yeah, again, that's what I'm saying about the modification. You cut a hole in the bottom of the van to stick an exhaust out. Unless you sell the van on with the diesel heater, you have now obviously cut a hole in the bottom of the van, which, okay, depreciation depends on who you're selling it to or whatever. You could probably fill it up. Now I would assume if you've got the tube of the diesel heater and you stick it out, I assume that you would put some expanding foam or something like that around the to fill the rest of the hole, or do you cut the hole exactly to the size of the pipe and stick it out? Now obviously if you went to sell, you might put some foam in there and maybe cover it up with a floorboard or whatever it is. But yeah, obviously going on to sell the van, unless you're selling it with the diesel heater, if you say to them, oh, like there's a hole in the the diesel tank because I had a diesel heater. There's a hole in the back for the exhaust, etc. That obviously will be a depreciation. And I'm not sure if you once you cut a hole in the diesel tanker to put the pipe in or whatever you do, I assume that you can't just take that out and plug it up. I assume that you would have to get that fixed a bit better or what. I'm not 100% sure. High temp silicone sealer or a turret plate. It's a turret plate. I've just got 2 times 20 mil holes side by side. Like I say, I'm sure it's not a bigger deal. Again, which is probably pretty common on this channel. Again, I'm talking about something that I don't really have too much experience in terms of I've never had one. So as you would probably, as a lot of people would probably say about this, is I'm talking about something I have no idea about. Mine's connected to the existing fuel lines. I mean, if there's two things I know little about, one of them is diesel heaters and the other one is cars and vans. Like, I have no idea. I couldn't do anything to it. I could probably change a tyre, I reckon, but other than that, I don't think I'd know anything. I couldn't fix anything on this van if it went wrong. It's straight round to the mechanics. So if there's two things I know little about, it's vans and cars and diesel heaters. How you doing back there, mate? Yeah, you all good? Good lad. Oh. So yeah, that is keeping warm. I think that there's something in there for everyone to try and learn. And like I say, one of the biggest things that I learned in terms of being a dog handler is keeping warm. It's one of the biggest priorities of being a dog handler is being able to keep warm. And for the sake of 25 quid, I have no idea what I was thinking. And like I say, it's obviously if you've got to make sure you got a plug, etc. But for the sake of that, for sitting in the cold, it's just not worth it. And what we're into December. We've probably got what, December, January, February, maybe even March. So it's got like 4 months. We've got a long, this is sort of the start, so we've got a long winter ahead. And as much as this site is a bit shite and it's a bit boring and it's not much to do, there's not much to patrol and different things like that, I would be happy to stay here for the next 4 months knowing that I've got a plug socket here, because it's all well and good saying, oh, like I want somewhere with a bit more open space, a bit more grass, a bit more to patrol, etc. But if you stick me on there for the next 4 months without a plug socket, I'll be wishing I was here. So as much as some sites are a little bit shy, depends on what time of year. If it's the middle of summer, I would rather go to a site with a bit more to patrol, bit more grass to be able to play with a dog or whatever, things like that. But different sites for different times of year is definitely a thing, and I won't be disappointed if I end up staying here for the next 4 months. Whether that's going to happen or not is I'm not 100% sure, but I'm hoping that it does. So what's been going on? Has anyone had anything been going on? I've been really quiet over the last sort of few weeks, etc. Not really much has been going on. Oh, my sleeping pattern is out the window at the moment. Got a problem with the dogs barking. There's a few people walk their dogs off lead round where we live, but for some reason they walk their dogs on lead until they get to where we are, and then they let their dogs off lead. And if there's one thing Cooper absolutely hates, is a reasonably large sized dog off lead. So I've got an issue that definitely one. So there's lots of people that walk their dogs past us, past our place every day. And Cooper and that doesn't really take much of a, doesn't really flicker an eyelid at them. But there's one dog, and I think I've spoken about this before. And when we first moved in, Cooper was out on the balcony, and I'm not sure what dog it is. It's like it's a medium-sized dog, probably somewhere around 25-30 kilos, something like that, 25 kilos. And when we first moved in, Cooper was on the balcony, and at the time we had no privacy screen, so it was just sort of bars. And basically we got the balcony, flower bed, bit of grass, a fence, another flower bed, and then the footpath. And when we first moved in, this woman walked this dog down the side, and then come across. But what she did just before they turned the corner to come to ours is she let the dog off lead. And she let the dog off lead, and the dog went running off, and it got in front of where our place is. And Cooper barked, and their dog started barking and having a go at Coop. So now, out of all the dogs, and I would say 20 to 25 dogs get walked past us every day, that one dog, that's the only dog I've ever thought that Cooper would love to try and kill that dog. He absolutely hates that dog. And I've got a big issue at the moment. Why do they do that every night? I've got an issue at the moment that they walk their dog past our place at the same time every morning, and it's just after I get into bed, and the dogs go they cause absolute havoc. The other day, Cooper knocked one of the missus' plant pots off of the side and smashed that, so I had to clean that up. So I've got an issue with the dogs, but like I say, it's this one dog that just Cooper absolutely hates, and that all stems from her letting her dog off lead in front of our place, and then her dog barking back at Coop in a more aggressive way than Cooper barks at that dog to start off with. And like I say, there's very few dogs that I've thought that Coop wouldn't. There's very few dogs I thought Coop would hurt, but I fully know that Cooper wants to really wants to hurt this dog. So it's an absolute chaos at the moment. I'm not sure who that is. Every night a van, a truck that I don't know where it comes from, every night it backs up to my gate and then drives off, and it's got to be something to do with what's just outside, but I swear I don't see that vehicle at any point except for one 10-second part of the night. I'm on a building site, and we've got people loitering around watching what I'm doing, possibly planning a break-in and steal the cables again. Yeah, that's one of the things I think I did in my Saturday video. Was it the one that I just done? No, I talked about sort of anxiety, and like that's my one. When I was talking about anxiety, it was always anxiety of like, are people watching, and what are they doing, why are they watching, or what are they planning, etc. Now, like I say, there's absolutely jaffle that people are going to want to break on and try and steal in here, but it's always that anxiety of like people watching you and different things like that. And like I say, you obviously just have to keep an eye. And again, when it comes to watching what you're doing, etc., they'll be looking for patterns. They'll be looking for patrol patterns, patrol time patterns, all that sort of stuff. And again, consistency. I was going to do sort of a video on this in terms of like consistency, because consistency in terms of the time that you turn up for shift every time, the consistency of your work, etc., in terms of like your appearance, the stuff that you kind of do in terms of like in terms of you as a handler are good, but the bad consistent is patrolling exactly the same way every time, consistently patrolling at a certain time. So consistency is good for some part of the job in terms of, do you turn up at 1:45 every day? do you do certain amount of patrols in terms of consistency, but patrolling at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock and doing exactly the same route, that consistency is really bad. And like I say, that's why I'm totally random. No one's going to tell me where to patrol, what to patrol, how often to patrol, how to do the patrol. No one's ever going to tell me to do that. And if I get onto a site and they say, look, you have to dab around all these points, then I'll just say, well, I'm not doing that, and I'll leave site. It's not the way I work, and you either have me as the handler I am. I'm not gonna be the handler that you want me to be. And I'd say that the dice to point stuff is probably the worst thing. It's probably the most insecure thing that you can do, because again, like you say, people outside watching you. And if it's obviously cold now, but some people plan these things weeks in advance, and they will be in a car outside site and they will see you, right, he goes out at this time, and they'll see a pattern in it, and they'll see routes and different things like that. And it's the most insecure thing that you can do, because people will start to understand when they can break in. If you're totally random like I am, they don't know when they can break in, so they don't know where you're going to be, what time you're going to be there, what route you're going to take. Now, I've stolen before I came here, that's why I'm here. Oh, Jesus. I came here, that's why I'm here. I've seen them for the last 2 nights hiding in the bushes with my thermal imaging camera. How much did your thermal imaging camera cost? Because I know that there's a few people that have got some stuff like that, some either night goggles or some thermal imaging stuff. Have you got? How much did that cost? I'm not saying I'm definitely going to get one, but I'm interested to see how much that costs, because again, like, it's not really required for the job, but it is obviously handy to have as well. How much did you pay for that thermal imaging stuff? Because I speak to another handler quite a lot that has night vision goggles, and he absolutely swears by them. Now I think he does shooting and different things like that, which is I think why he had the goggles. He had it for sort of shooting stuff and things like that. So I'll be interested to know how much that stuff costs, because I'm all for technology. I think there are lots of handlers that are against technology, and when I say I'm for technology, I'm not saying that I've got all the technical stuff, but I am open to sort of using that stuff. About the same as my Bluetti. Okay, so it's a decent chunk then. Yeah, it's a decent chunk. But yeah, I'm definitely open to using stuff. Now, I think some technology is better than others, is more worth it than others. I know people that use alarm systems. Now, alarm systems is what I used to do before I got into this, and I know people that have alarm systems and they set detectors out in areas, and it pings up obviously if they get triggered, etc. I'm kind of for that. I know that I've got a feeling Josh might be, I'm not 100% sure, but I've got a feeling that Josh has detectors out. But I know that there are other handlers that have detectors out, and I'm kind of for that. If you've got some blind spots and things like that, and you can stick a detector out to warn you, then I don't see any problem with that. Now, the first person that I ever spoke to that had that is he had a alarm system in his van, and it played like a doorbell sound if a detector was sent off. And then what he done is he had detectors on cables that were about 40 meters long, and basically all he done is he put the detectors all around the van at about 40 meters, and then whenever one of the detectors was sent off, it made a doorbell sound in the van, which would set the dog off. But the main reason that he had that was so that he could go to sleep whilst he was working, and then the dog would alert him if something was going on. So they are good and they are bad depending on how you use them. But if you've got blind spots or there's spots that are quite far away, I don't see why you wouldn't use that sort of stuff. Thermal imaging, night vision goggles, yeah, but I can see how they can be useful. Josh, not on this site. On my old site, we had about 10 trail cams hidden around. Yeah, I'll say I know someone that's got a couple. And again, I think that was just good tutoring or good advice from a trainer when he first started. Now he's very pally with the guy, but that's just good tutoring. That's good coaching from early days about being a security dog handler, being a security guard, about being prepared for that sort of stuff and preparing someone early. And I think that from what I've seen of sort of other videos, other content in terms of being a security dog handler, very little is about making you a good handler. Lots of videos are about making your dog good or improving your dog or exciting videos about the dog, but I don't see a lot of content about you being good as a handler, making you a better handler, different things like that. And I think that's one of the problems. Is there a problem in the security? Because I see a reasonable amount of handlers. Now I work alongside one, but obviously when I'm off or he's off, then we get another handler in. And I do find sometimes when I turn up and I see other handlers and things like that, I just think that, look, you're just not prepared. And like you speak to them, you say, oh, like, how long you been doing this? They're like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is. And I just look at it, I just go like, you're just not prepared. You don't look prepared, and you don't look the way you should to be a security dog handler. And I think that's one of the issues. That's one of my biggest gripes in terms of the industry, is that when I turn up and I try and talk to, like, I've turned up to many a site to take over from handlers, and the handlers look nervous. They don't want to talk to me, even when they understand who I am and obviously that I am the person that's there to take over from them. Like, they don't want to talk to me. When I try and talk to them, they're kind of nervous about what to say and things like that. And I just think to myself, like, you are not prepared for confrontation. You're not prepared, because if you know who I am and you trust that I'm not going to hurt you, and you understand that I'm there to take over from you, if you can't talk to me, what are you going to do when 3 kids walk on or 2 blokes walk on and you've got to go and approach them, or you've got to talk to them? If you can't talk to me, who wants to talk to you, what chance have you got of conversing or taking control of a situation of people that don't want to talk to you or whatever it is? I've got sensors, wireless cameras, and I think it helps you be proactive. They allow you to be everywhere at the same time. Yeah, that's what I say. Like, if you've got blind spots on your site, like, there is a bit of a blind spot on this site, but there's no entrance to the site. All that's down that way is literally just rubbish, and that is a blind spot. Now, if there was something that was, now I'd probably position my van in a different way if there was something more valuable down there. But yeah, if I had one of them sensors, one of them cameras, whatever it is, that I could put down there, I could be here and I could be there at the same time, in terms of, if something sets it off, then I know exactly where it is and away I go. So yeah, I'm all for that. On the power stations, they use pulsar, helium, thermal scopes. Literally no idea what any of that means. Obviously I know what thermal means, but in terms of pulsar, helium, thermal scopes, I have literally no idea what that is. The static that takes over for me on the weekend rocks up in his tracksuit with a bag for life full of microwave meals. Yeah, I think I'm going to be interested to see how my video on Saturday goes down. Like I say, I'm going to re-record it because I'm not happy with the way it's come out first time. I'm going to re-record it tonight, but I'm going to be really interested to see how that video goes down on Saturday, because it's one of the most argued things in the industry. It's one of the most talked about things in the industry. But when you look at the caliber of, not the caliber of people, I think that might be wrong, but definitely the caliber of professionalism within security dog handlers, whether it's statics, whether it's security dog handlers, whatever it is. When you look at the full caliber of security, other than doorman, I would say that doorman you're more likely to get what you think you should be getting. Like if every nightclub or every bar that I've been to, whatever it is, whenever I've walked up to a door and there's been a bouncer, they have been roughly, not always, but roughly what I'm expecting them to look at. When I got into this and I was seeing other dog handlers, I was seeing other statics, I was seeing what I envisioned in terms of security is not what I was seeing. Now, there will be people that are watching this video, there will be people that watch my content, and they will look at me and say, you're not what I was expecting to see as a security dog handler. And maybe that's fair. Maybe I'm not as big, maybe I've not got the body shape in terms of, maybe you expect dog handlers to be a lot bigger, a lot more physically bigger, mate, in terms of muscles or whatever it is. People might look at me and say, you're not what I would envision a security dog handler to be. Now, what I would say is I'm probably not your typical security dog handler, but what I would say in terms of security dog handling is that I have a pretty decent, what's the best way to put it? Oh, I can't remember what the word is. The amount of times I'm going to say this word and you're going to say, well, you can't even remember it and you always forget words. But I would say in terms of, I nearly had it then. Conversing. Like, I'd say in terms of conversing, I'm pretty good. In terms of, I'll be able to talk to anyone. I've always said that wherever I go, whether I go to, I mean, I probably wouldn't go there, but if I went to a rough part of London, not that I really want to, or I went to a really nice golf club that is quite prestigious, quite snooty, whatever it is, I feel like I would be able to fit in either way. Now, a rough part of London, probably not, but I'll be able to talk to them people on some sort of level, and I could go to a high level golf club that's really snooty, that has got millionaires fluttered around the place, and I'd be able to have a conversation with them and be able to have a conversation on their level. And I think conversely, that's where my best skills are. Now, in security dog handling, sometimes conversing is not the answer due to them, not me, and obviously you need to go a bit further. So, but I definitely think that when I first got into this industry and what I envisioned a security dog handler to be, what I envisioned a static guard to be, in terms of a static guard that is put on a site to look after merchandise or whatever it is, I think the caliber of professionalism within the security dog or security industry is far below door staff, like door supervisors, what you would see on a nightclub. Now, I might be wrong, but like I say, whenever I go to bars, nightclubs, whatever it is, male or female, the person I see on the door, I always think, yeah, you're exactly what I would expect to see. And if you ask me to draw a doorman, that's what, or a doorwoman, that you're exactly what I'd envision to draw. Now, if you ask me to draw a static guard, someone that is in charge of looking after premises and obviously doing static patrols and things like that. Static patrols, is that a static that does patrols? Like, I don't think I could draw you what you actually end up getting. So like I say, this video on Saturday is going to be interesting to see people's reaction, because when you throw a blanket over the security industry, when you start complaining about certain stuff, I think you need to look at the professionalism within the industry before you start complaining about certain stuff. But like I say, I might be right, I might be wrong, but no one else seems to want to talk about it, and I don't know why. So I'm going to, but I need to record it again because I need it to come over the right way, not the way that it's come over in my first record. Oh man, what are we coming at? 56 minutes. Well, this 56 minutes has been much better than my Monday one. Monday one wasn't my finest work. I think that was maybe more to do with me. I don't feel like I came in with a subject on Monday for my live, and it was probably the worst live. I might even delete that live, to be honest, because I don't think there was anything remotely interesting. And if someone that doesn't subscribe to my channel, if that's the first thing they watch, they're not going to watch any other of my videos if they think that that's the caliber of content I'm bringing out. But this one's been reasonably decent. It's getting a bit chillier back there. So that's my fan. 15 quid, can't go wrong. 15 quid, can't go wrong. It's kept me warm for the last 2 years. It's got a fan setting. Well, it is a fan heater, but it's got like a fan setting that's like cool air. It's got two heat settings, so a medium heat and a high heat, and then also a thermostat as well. Now I'm not sure, does the thermostat have? No. So it's got a thermostat on it, so that you can set a thermostat so when it gets to a certain sort of temperature, it will shut off, and then once it starts falling down a little bit below that, then it will kick back in. Although it doesn't give me numbers, it just gives me low to high all the way round. So I'm not sure what the highest is. Well, the lowest isn't very warm, because the dog handler that I borrowed this to earlier, I got in the van, turned it on. It was on for about 3 minutes, and it shut off on the thermostat, so he didn't have it up very high. But yeah, like I say, 15 quid kept me warm for, what's this going to be, the second winter, maybe second, because I was on using the Bluetti on the other site. Oh, that's hot. So yeah, second or third winter, this is keeping me warm for 15 quid. Absolutely cannot go wrong. Has anyone else got anything they want to talk about? Any questions, any subjects? I am open to staying on for a little bit longer. If anyone's got anything interesting, I'll give you another couple of minutes if you got anything. I'm happy to stay on and talk about something. But if you're all done, then we can all crack on with our lives. Should we do a food thing? So I've got all my fridge stuff, which is like Dairy Dunkers, Baby Bells, chocolate bars, different things like that. I've got in to these peanut and raisin mix. I think this was like a quid out of Asda. Literally one of the best things I've brought to start eating on site. So I've got them. Honey roasted peanuts, again, like a quid or so out of Asda. Nice nice decent little snack to be able to snack throughout the week, not even like just one night. I snack through and through the week. And the missus got me steak, caramelised onion and chutney sandwich. So that is what I'm going to be eating tonight. And that's really all my snacks, other than a cookie and some crisps, and then obviously what's in there. But yeah, definitely these getting a few bags of like these nuts, whether it's honey roasted nuts or the nut and raisin mix. You can pick them up reasonably cheap out of supermarkets and that. And like I say, you can get one of them for like the week or whatever, and they've been pretty good. Okay, well, it doesn't look like anyone's got anything that they want to ask me or any other talking points. So we will leave it there at 60 minutes and 58, 59, 61 minutes. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for coming in and obviously having a chat, chilling out, and giving me some stuff to talk about. This is obviously much better than Monday's episode. Monday's episode was a disaster on my part. I was useless. So yeah, obviously if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below for loads more videos. Everyone stay warm in this deep freeze. Me and the dog are going to be chilling out, staying warm, playing ball and patrolling whatever the little we do have to patrol. But as for now, I'll see you again. I'm going to watch out for the video on Saturday, because I want to get everyone's opinions on it, because like I say, I think it's controversial, but I want to get everyone's opinions on it. But other than that, stay warm, look after yourselves, look after your dogs, and I'll see you again on Monday. I'll do another live on Monday, and I'll see you then. Cheers for watching. See you later.